Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Phucket again. Geez, what's it been? Well, damn, it's been a literal year since I last covered this particular bucket of silly. Last time it was Earth and flat because coins. Let's see if his arguments have improved somewhat since the way back times of last year.
Believing that we live on the outside of a globe is as ludicrous as the cartoon world of Peppa Pig.
Well, you see, it. No, not the swear, his name. It's got a PH, damn it, YouTube. Anyway, I can't say that I'm surprised. But that's still pretty frickin' stupid, isn't it? And in fact, I would say a large step down, because at least with the coin thing, coins are like real. And not an abstract concept like the fictional world of a cartoon. Not exactly a promising start, is it?
Where we see the characters do what would be otherwise physically impossible in the real world.
Ah, yes, of course, I know exactly what you mean. They are a happy family who aren't constantly plotting each other's downfall in an attempt to seize control of the family heirloom containing a treasure map that leads to great wealth and power. A relatable problem to you all, I am sure. They don't even have shootouts where they shout about not being that easy to kill, finishing with them running away from a slow-motion explosion. It's just all so unrealistic.
Zooming up and down steep slopes, and that's really what makes the cartoon funny, isn't it?
Okay, not what I expected. And, Huckety, me old mate, you know this is a kid's show, right? It's not supposed to be funny to a growed-up like you. You're supposed to be laughing along with more sophisticated comedy. You know, like those war documentaries. All those dead Who-mans. Hilarious.
Especially when we see them scooting up steep slopes with ease that just can't happen in the real world. It's physically impossible.
I think you will find it is in fact very possible. I mean, look at me go! And you might say, but that's an animation. But you see, not moving my arms or my feet. I am very much not animated. Meaning this is in fact a real thing that happened. #checkmate flurfs.
Yet it is cartoon imagery like this that we are literally brainwashed to believe in.
You want to justify that sentence, mate? Because you know what I think is a ridiculous cartoon notion that anyone who believes in probably gets their main source of entertainment from cartoons literally targeted at children. I'll give you a clue. It's the flat earth. I mean, seriously, how on earth do you believe something so goddamn ridiculous? Answer me.
We have to completely ignore reality and somehow believe that we are smart to do so.
Well, I am glad that you can admit that you only believe because you think you are smart. Clearly that's not the case because, well, duh. But knowing and, more importantly, admitting you have a problem is the first step needed in becoming a slightly less awful Who-mans. I mean, you'll still be a Who-mans, but at least you won't be as absurd.
And perceive ourselves as living on the outside of a globe like this, with aircraft flying around it like this.
A globe like that? No. Not even remotely close. In fact, using an image like that to quote-unquote mock globe heads goes to prove how you completely lack any understanding of what the globe, aka real model, of how the Earth does a working is. As a joke, this is really, really funny, but only at the expense of a flat earther themselves. Kinda sad when you think about it. No, not you, Senor Fook Eat. We all know you don't know what thinking is.
And we have boats going up and down these slopes of water, which is magically sticking to the outside of the Earth.
A description so painfully inaccurate, it makes me wonder if you have ever actually listened to a description of how Earth-chan works from someone who understands it, or if the only explanations of the non-flat model you have ever heard have been from yet more flat earthers who have no idea what the model actually says. I mean, seriously, slopes. What slopes? There are no slopes involved in the shape of the Earth at large. Yeah, it has slopes on a micro level. Well, micro compared to the size of the planet as a whole. But at the planetary macro scale, calling the sides of Earth slopes is like calling any given edge of a wheel the top. It just doesn't make any sense if you think about it for more than half a second.
And of course, it's understood that you have to assume that there is no up and down in space.
You don't have to assume at all, because we know. People have been to space and we know how it works from going there and testing it and shit. Not to mention all the crap that we've chucked into space that stays up there because, again, we know how it works.
But in reality, there is an up and down.
Excuse me, wait a pea-hucking second. Are you planning on explaining exactly how that works? Because, there's an up and down when you're next to a large planetary body with a strong gravitational field, but in no way is there a general up and down in space. Seriously, I hope you're going to actually demonstrate how that works. Otherwise, I'm going to have to make a pithy comeback that makes you look as dumb as you are, whilst making me sound like a smartass. Everybody wins.
So let's have a look at an image that represents reality and the real physics of water.
Oh, never mind, he completely isn't going to explain the up and down of space. You would think, to make such a bold claim, he would have some kind of evidence for that. But no, flat earthers don't do evidence, that's for nerds. And the thing is, if it was there, they could totally get the same type of evidence for their positions, easily. All they would have to do is get a piece of equipment into space and do some measurements, etc. But the thing is, that requires not being a complete set of incompetence, and to actually understand the physics of the world at even a basic level, which they don't, so they can't. But because they are so incompetent, they seem to believe that their inability to acquire said evidence is in fact proof of how correct they are, when in fact it proves quite the opposite.
This is from a government website just explaining how water pressure works.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Cartoons are not the show of reality. Now here's this cartoon that shows how to reality. I'm sure the image is fine. It's just the irony and lack of self-awareness that I enjoy so very much. You guys are so bad at this.
You've got a water tank on the hill here, and then we've got houses that are at a lower elevation, and they get water that's fed into their houses with water pressure.
Yes, that is how water works at any given place on the surface of the planet, because gravity is a thing that makes it work. Now, we all know you aren't actually going to explain how it works, and your reasoning for why this disproves the globe is going to be less than smart. But I am really looking forward to see how less than smart it's going to be. I'm guessing it'll be a solid 8 out of dumb.
The description
Right, I'm going to skip
says...
this bit here because it is all just him reading out something someone else wrote. So obviously it's actually correct and not in any way funny. So frankly, what's the point? I want you to get on to your brilliant theories, monkey boy.
Now, even for a so-called flat earther, the word gravity doesn't instantly mean that we jump out of reality and assume that it is a magical force pulling everything towards the center of an imaginary spherical Earth.
You literally just showed that the second that you saw the word gravity, you have to start ranting about the imaginary spherical Earth. So you clearly have jumped right out of reality into the trash can of flat eartherisms. So good job.
Gravity is simply a way of describing a mass in a less dense medium having weight and creating water pressure.
No, it describes the force that is acting on it, a force, mind, that flat earthers consistently fail to have any replacement for, even though they constantly say that it's not real. Instead, attempting to force density into its place, like an idiot child trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. No, that's actually not fair to the idiot child. The flat earther would probably just eat the square peg. I know you didn't bring it up, but I'm just gonna say it. The layering of things by their density is a direct result of gravity. Density cannot explain why water pressure increases as the amount of water above increases. But gravity does. In fact, if you remove gravity, like in space, the layering effect disappears, whilst the relative density remains consistent all over the substance. Almost like gravity is a real thing that works.
So while we have this horizontal line here representing the level of the water, we have the houses that are at a lower elevation, a lower level, and they get water pressure fed into them.
That is basically correct. Unfortunately, I know where you're going with this, and it hurts me to my very non-existent soul. Just deep breath. I can do this. It's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. Why do I always lie to myself?
Now, you'll often have an argument from globe Earth proponents that water can flow uphill. Well, yes, the water can flow uphill to this house on the right.
Yeah, they say that because your lot falsely claim that water can't flow uphill all the time. It's a response to that. I'm glad that you can admit it at least, but unfortunately, just because that's true doesn't mean you're any closer to actually understanding the connection between the globe Earth and hills. Or, well, its lack of connection, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
In the real world, water will never go higher than the source of the water in the first place.
Higher! That's a good word. Not in terms of accuracy when it comes to what you still have yet to get to, but, well, the whole concept that height has anything to do with the shape of the Earth is just not a very good way to describe anything. Damn it, we're so close.
The force of gravity won't force it downhill and then uphill any higher than the original level. You can test this yourself. This works with siphons, and it just works in the real world. The fact that water flows is absolute proof that we don't live on a globe.
No, it really isn't. It's absolute proof that water flows, and that it flows down to the lowest point it can get to towards the centre of the Earth. It actually helps prove gravity. And you'll notice I said helps and not this thing proves everything forever. Because if you know how to science, you would know that things all work together to demonstrate the most likely answer to how does X work. Many multitudes of other things help prove gravity to the point where we know it's a fact. And gravity being a fact is really a big help towards proving that the Earth is a globe. You're just too damn dense to understand that. Which is ironic, really.
So let's try and put this onto an image of the globe here. So here we have our globe model.
And ain't it pretty? I mean, it's a little bit weird looking. You really shouldn't be able to see the far sides of America and Asia at the same time. Maybe stop looking to cartoons to find out your scientific information, since they aren't always exactly accurate.
Again, we've had to jump out of reality in order to perceive this.
No, Pahak you. You're using a completely distorted version of the Earth. That's not what it looks like, and I honestly can't tell if you're doing this on purpose or if you are just too stupid to realise what you're doing makes you look like you are lying. It's kind of infuriating, if I'm honest.
And let's put this image we saw just now and make it slightly larger so we can see what's going on here.
And there it is. What is going on here is you, my friend, are a colossal buffoon. That is the most ridiculous thing I think I have ever seen presented as evidence for the flat Earth. That image, and that image alone, is the reason I decided to make this video. Because I laughed so hard and so long when I saw that, I had to take a long break to recover from the sheer stupidity of it. And combined with the fact that you can present it with anything resembling a straight face, is proof positive that you might be the dumbest flat earther of all. Like seriously, wow. And I thought the Peppa Pig stuff was dumb.
Yeah, and as we saw before, we have the water will flow to a lower elevation, and then as we come off this image and onto our globe model, the water should carry on flowing.
I'm not really listening, because this picture really does say it all. Look at that complete, scientifically illiterate gibberish. It's amazing, and it's even useful because with it I can demonstrate how and why he is so wrong. So he has it like that, but really it should look like this. In fact, no, that's not small enough. There you go. That's more like it. What, you can't see it anymore? Yeah, no shit. Do you know how goddamn big the planet is? The water wouldn't flow down the sides because it wouldn't even reach them. The Earth is so frigging huge, at least from a human perspective, that hill might as well be perfectly flat. You think that the Earth is flat because it is far too large for you to comprehend, at least when you ignore the science you should have learned at school. In fact, that's a good analogy. You think that the entire school is a sandpit because you're too damn small-minded to get out of the metre-squared box to see the 1,000 square metres of school grounds full of trees and concrete and grass and buildings and everything else that constitutes a school. That, and I bet you ate a lot of the sand too, which explains so many things.
Regardless of where you want to perceive up and down, this is reality. Water flows to a lower elevation.
Let's use your stupid shit again to help you understand how elevation works on a globe. Now, gravity pulls to the centre. I'm sure you've heard that, whether or not you were actually comprehending it. So that means that the perceived up and down is, well, exactly where it should be. But now that elevation, what you need to understand is, just like the water goes towards the earth as you go round it, so does the elevation. That elevation is basically the same here, here, and here. Anywhere, really. Now, you could go on about different gravitational pulls on the earth, but I would actually like him to understand this and not slam to the floor because someone presented him with yet another idea he doesn't understand. So quiet, please. I know, some of you want to show off how smart you are, but no one cares, least of all me. I am only impressed by great feats of stupidity, so Herr Huckett here impresses the crap out of me. I expect you lot all to do better as well. More dumbassery, please.
Now, of course, we've got these arguments that, well, the Earth is locally flat wherever you are.
See, it's kind of annoying that you've actually pretty much heard all the arguments, but instead of realising that maybe you aren't getting it, you decide, no, literally all of science is wrong. I wish I was this kind of arrogant and idiotic, but alas, I am only handsome, famous and good at the sex, and kind of dumb. Sad.
But then anyone who believes that the horizon is curvature has to have faith that the physics of water suddenly changes and you've got some point in the distance that is at a lower elevation than yourself.
No, it's not at a lower elevation. That's the p-hucking point. This, all around this, is the same elevation. That's how it works. That's the basic thing you aren't getting, and until you do, I am just going to have to ban you from the sandpit. Pretty sure the kids have been crapping in there anyway, and that would explain where all your brainworms come from.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the